Okay, so hi and welcome to 21777. Okay, so this is the third part of my upkeep video about Gwen White and her case and what's going on with her. And so on in this video, the driver for Gwen White, he speaks out about how neighbors and police gang stalked her. So again, this is by Taylor Publishing House, and I have been putting the link to his videos in my description. So in case I miss one of his update videos, then you can go over there and keep up with it that way, because he seemed like he have been keeping up pretty well with the videos. And plus, you can subscribe to his channel as well as subscribe to my channel as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and switch over here, and we're going to get into the video.
All right, peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. And the story that we have been covering is that of Miss Gwendolyn White, who was charged with attempted murder on two attorneys at the Raleigh courthouse after a court hearing. That court hearing involved a years-long battle that she had against the Roseville Police Department, as well as her neighbors, as well as the medical industry that took possession of her 89-year-old mother, kept her, and then when she was found almost on the brink of death, and she eventually died. Miss Gwendolyn White documented it and documented every step of the way, every battle, every encounter with the police, all of the motions. She filed pro se. She defended herself.
It said that she was documented and keeping the public informed on Facebook, but after her arrest, they took down her Facebook post. But she do have another copy of everything she posted. They're safe in someone else's possession. So I'm glad that she did that.
Exhausted all of her mental, physical, and even financial resources trying to get justice in this particular case. A lot of it centers around the allegations of her neighbors being in conjunction with the police, and that builder of her house, who she said was complicit by giving her neighbors a key to her house, which allowed them access to her house. There were several allegations, but I'm going to let you hear it from what I am calling an eyewitness who used to actually work with Miss White in transporting her mother to and from the hospital. And she confided in him about many of these things that people find hard to believe. So without further ado, I'm going to let you hear from my brother, Trevay Willis, who actually went live on his Facebook page and gave people details of the particular conversations and what he saw with his own eyes concerning this case. Just watch.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Trey. You know, I was just getting off work on Friday, and I was looking at the news on my phone, and when I looked at the news on my phone, I seen where Gwendolyn White was being carried across the street in handcuffs. You know, it said shooting, newsflash, shooting. So when I looked up, I saw Gwendolyn White being escorted, and I basically just was pretty much lost for words. And the reason why I was lost for words is because I knew her. And the reason why I know her is because her mom, I took her mom to the doctor. And all I'm going to say is this: I really hate the situation that happened with those two attorneys. You know, I don't condone any violence. I don't condone anybody's life on the line for any situation whatsoever, you know. So I definitely, you know, have the two attorneys at heart, you know, but all I'm gonna say is this: me knowing her and knowing her mom, you know, which her mom, it really was a sensitive part of me, because I know this lady and I took this lady to the doctor and I took her to all her appointments at Duke Raleigh. But I really wish she could have did things just a little bit different. I wish that, she would have, took, action and went to maybe like the NAACP and places like that. But I do know that she has exhausted so many opportunities trying to get her case being heard. I knew Gwen and her mom before they moved to Roseville. They lived in another house prior. So it was one day she had called me and she had said, listen, we're moving and, we're moving to Roseville and I want you to transport mommy to our new house. So for a lot of you guys don't know, Miss White was bedridden. So at the time, Gwendolyn didn't have a Hoyer lift. And if you guys don't know what a Hoyer lift is, a Hoyer lift is pretty much the thing that lifts people out of bed so we can get them in a wheelchair. So what I did was, she knew that her mom was supposed to go on a stretcher, but I put her what they call a recliner wheelchair and got her to the doctor. When I got her mom to the new house, she lived in a nice brick house. I mean, the house is beautiful. One thing about Miss Gwen was she was very bougie and she had a lot of nice items, things to that nature. So the problem that that started was, from what she told me, was with the builder. And this is all what she told me. I'm not really here trying to give any commentary on anything else, but what she told me was the builder had messed up her cabinets. Cabinets was off. The floor was off in her master bedroom, which I seen her master bedroom. She had one of the biggest beds I've ever seen in my life, but the floor was uneven. There was a lot of other inconsistencies in that house that she was really complaining about. So that's where, a lot of the issues started happening, was with the inconsistencies of the house. Well, she had started alleging that the builder gave a key. Now, I do know that her and the builder started, getting into disputes and things to that nature. Well, all of a sudden, the next door neighbor got involved and they all started beefing and they all started, going into a tyrant. So Roseville police came, for what she was telling me. There was a lot of arguing and things to that nature. Well, then the body cams mysteriously disappeared. She really was upset about that. And then there was a lot of allegations of, my next door neighbor is a Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan and all that. So, really the type of person I am, I really don't want to get involved into all that. I just basically hear what she, was saying. I try to, a lot of times I try to change the subject while she's in the vehicle. But I do know that one day she was at her house when I went to pick up her mom to go to Duke. She said, "Oh, well, look what these racist people did to me." She showed me a piece in her yard where it was like where somebody poured like something and killed her grass. I seen that. And I'm like, wow, okay, well, listen, you could always go to Lowe's and replant it and get your grass back. She was going hysterical, very upset about it. Then
was poured on her lawn was acid.
there was another incident where
Alleged.
her AC system, which is on the left side of the house, and her garage is on the right side of the house. I never forget. And her door was in the middle. Her AC system was tampered with. She claimed they did that. And I just, at that moment, I felt so bad for her, and I said, well, look, just keep trying to call the police, try to get them involved, do a police report and all that kind of stuff. Well, her Lexus, she had a nice Lexus. Lexus got damaged, vandalized, and I think that's what prompted her to end up getting rid of the Lexus and getting another Lexus. Well, lo and behold, she started filing affidavits with the court, fighting for, in reference to, going through with the next door neighbors. She kept alleging that they were harassing her tapped into her ADT system at her house, broke into her house about 5 or 6 times. And I just told her, I said, Miss Gwen, wow, you got a lot going on there. You know, what in the world? And she was like, I just can't catch a break. These racist people, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, me, you know, a lot of times I didn't really want to hear it. So I will always change the subject. You know, I will sit with her mom because one thing about it is she paid me pretty good to take her mom to the doctor. So I always try to change the subject. And then she would make comments like, you know, hey, I'm looking for me a man, you know, any man that's single and, you know, looking for a nice lady and blah, blah, blah. So we would have a good relationship. But all I'm saying is this is what really touched me. And I'm very sensitive when it comes down to the elderly people and children. How that lady, Miss White, got into that state, I do not know. I'm not going to sit here and say what I think, but that was horrible. And I did tell Miss Gwen, I said, look, you might, you know, take these pictures down off social media because they're going to end up flagging it, blah, 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 blah. But the way that lady was handled, it was totally wrong. I mean, if you looked at the pictures, in which I do have the pictures of it, it would make you almost want to cry. You know, bed sores and feces in her fingernails, and her skin was, you know, pretty much hanging, and, you know, all kinds of blisters and, you know, all kinds of stuff. And it just really hurt my heart because I knew her. I knew her from the time from years ago when I started transporting her. And I just felt like, you know, I just wish that she would have went a different route instead of shooting those people, because now what they're going to try to do is say that she's crazy, and they're going to try to minimize her situation with her mom and put a lot of the blame on her for shooting those people. And really, this is the wrong justice. This is the wrong justice. But I get it. She was, you know, a lot of times you don't understand a person when they get under pressure. You don't know how they react. But she was basically doing this for her mom, and fighting against the town of Roseville. She said the Roseville Police Department, and I'm not saying, you know, I'm not speaking on that. I'm just saying for what she was telling me, that they were all in cahoots together. They poisoned her mom. And then, you know, her mom eventually had passed away. They poisoned her, you know, with like lead and things to that nature. And I just, and I hate it because Miss Gwen was a very nice lady, very supportive over me. We talked a lot about the future. She was very savvy, had, you know, a nice house, you know, she told me she had money in the bank, all kinds of stuff. And now to see this, you know, her face on the news on Friday really took me to another level and made me feel a certain kind of way, because it's like you took the actions upon your own self and you shot those people, and now it's not like this. The justice will never be served, you know, in reference to what really happened to your mother. And that's all I'm saying is I hate that this had to come to this. And, you know, we should all, you know, we in this situation, we all have to look at the fact of the lawyers were doing their job. Did we like what side of the fence they were on? No, we didn't like it. But at the same time, they were doing their job. They got shot. And it's just a hurtful situation. It's like it's not a win for anybody on either situation. On Gwen's side, on the lawyer's side, it's not a win for anybody. The mom in this situation is going to go down. She shot him. She's going to be charged. And it's like there's not going to be any justice whatsoever for her mom. You know, it's like everything's going to be washed under the rug, and her mom is going to just continue to lie in state with nothing that's ever going to come to the light. You know, this would have been a case for the NAACP, but as I had known by her that she has went to every source that she could possibly, exhausted every opportunity to try to get this story heard, and everybody shut her away. So am I, you know, putting praise on her back for doing what she did? No, but I just wish that it would have went a certain way, and she wouldn't have been deeper in trouble than what she is now. Because, like I said, her mom, the way her condition got before she passed away, it was not good. And, you know, I don't know if justice will ever be served on what happened to her mom. You know, they said that Miss Gwendolyn said her mom was over at Oxford Health and Rehab down in Oxford. And I know these nursing homes, but I'm not saying anything about them because I'm not getting myself tied in any kind of mess. But, you know, we never will know. And the thing I'm saying is this, you know, now that this has happened to her and she has did what she did, now we are just now learning about it. Everybody else is just now learning about it, and now everybody's serious about it when we should have been serious about it if prior to her shooting those people. So tell me what you think, guys, because
That's exactly. I'm not going to interrupt too much more, but that's exactly what I said in my last video. That she should have that support network surrounding her from the beginning, not after the fact, not now that she's locked down and she's in jail and being charged with attempted murder. Should have been there supporting her from the get-go when she was posting those pictures and posting the updates about what she was going through on Facebook. Should have been there from the beginning.
it's a sad situation, and now this lady's life is going to be gone for the rest of her life. No justice will ever be served, and the people that allegedly, if they are at fault, I mean, they're going to get away scot-free. You know, I just hope that we shed some light into this matter. You know, we can get some now gain national attention. And yeah, I just wish now that, you know, they would open up a deeper investigation, a federal investigation to find out if there's any wrongdoing in reference to her mom, because the way her mom got, that's not right. That's not right. That could have been your mom. It could have been anybody's mom in that situation if she was placed into a situation like that. So tell me what you think. And, you know, but, you know, I wasn't going to comment on it, but it just, the way I kept reading everybody's commentary on it and looking at the pictures and everything to that nature, it just really bothers me. And Gwen is funny because some years ago, she had went on my Google page, and I got it. It's funny. She had rated my services. It has, you know, wonderful services and everything like that. And she made a comment, though. She was like, yeah, I give him a 5-star, but his van was dirty, and he had Bojangles boxes everywhere. So Miss Gwen was a very nice lady. That's all I'm going to say, you know. But for as me co-signing of what she did, I can't go with that. But at the same time, people snap, and I just hate it. You know, wish there was a different outcome to the situation. She did what she did, and you know, we all must give an account for what we do as people, and we have to live with it. But I will never forget Miss White, her mom, sweet lady, sweet elderly lady. I love the elderly people, and she was a pretty lady. You know, I got a soft heart for, you know, elderly people, but I don't know if we will ever see the truth to this or not, but all we could do is pray at this moment.
Shout out to my brother Trey Willis, man. He actually made a comment and gave some clarification on one of my videos. And I took some notes about what he was saying, because everything he said is verified by what Miss Gwendolyn had documented, and also the other information I'm getting from another friend of hers. First, we're going to address what she did. You know, the brother said he wished she would have done things different. Of course, I do too, right? Like, nobody's co-signing what she did. But it reminds me of the Ryan Hinton case, where his father, Rodney Hinton Jr., ran over a Cincinnati deputy days after a detective shot his son in the back while he was running away. And so if it had not been for Rodney Hinton Jr. running over that deputy, and that got national attention, nobody would ever knew that his son got shot in the back. And I think that's what she had in mind. If I can't get justice, if I can't get any help, if these people won't do right by me and nobody will understand, I am going to take this measure so at least people will know what happened. And then the brother mentioned, well, justice is never going to get done now.
She did two attorneys, so I don't think she did what she did for the reasons that he's trying to imply. I think the woman was just at her wit's end and she just snapped. I mean, how much can she take? And judging from with what the guy said in the video, she was a very nice lady. And I'm glad I watched the video because now it kind of give you an insight of who this person is and what type of person Miss Gwen was, instead of just reading and hearing bits and pieces. Now we hear a little bit of essence of a little bit of who this person is. I'm not going to say was, well, is or was, she's still alive, but who she was and, who she is, it has made her human. And to me, I still say she was under a tremendous amount of stress. And we don't know how much a person can take before they snap and do the unthinkable, do things that they normally would not consider doing under normal circumstances. The woman was under a tremendous amount of stress, and it just seemed like she did not have any support or no support system, no support network. She was just fighting this battle on her own. And I agree with the young man. I wish he would have did things differently, but like he said, she exhausted all avenues that she thought that she reached out to, and everyone turned her away. It seemed like everyone wants to be there now, wants to be heard, wants to be affiliated with the story, a part of the story, attach themselves to the story. But where were they before she tried to analyze those people? Where were they when she was crying out on Facebook? So did they do like the young man did when she was like voicing the things that she was going through to him in the car? And I understand a lot of times we have our own problems in life and we don't want to be settled down or broken down or hear other things that may take us out of our peace or our peace of mind, and so you don't want to hear certain things. You want to block certain things off. You want to change the conversation. And what I think a lot of people did was miss the point when she was reaching out to him and talking to him, and she needed someone to talk to. What someone, I was going to say, what someone should have did was just took the time and listen and then offer some kind of assistance instead of turning around wanting to say, change the subject. Because evidently she needed to talk. She needed to get it out, but she was shut down. That's my opinion.
Evidently, justice was never going to get done in the first place. And that's what we have to see with this evil, corrupt system. Now, let's go back to when she moved in that house. He said the problem started when the builder did not want to fix things in the house. The cabinets were off, the floor was off, and I've been in that position with myself, with my own mother and father when they built the house. When they built the house, they got in there and then the little things weren't right, and my mother was calling the builder. And well, he said this, he said that. And because I was there and because another man was there, I would not let him not do what he was supposed to do. They don't pay X and X amount of dollars for this work, and they get in there and the work is done shabby. A lot of these builders do that. And so that's why I can verify that from my own experience. And then, of course, that's what started the riff. He probably didn't want to fix nothing. Once he got her money, he was offered to the sunset. I'll send some guys over there, and they come and they do a half job too. And because he said it was a nice house, she was extravagant, she was bougie, She liked nice things. And of course, they wiped their Facebook off. So I would show you some pictures that she had up there, but they've already wiped her space. They're trying to erase what the truth is. But nevertheless, she was not letting them have it. Then, because of the builder probably built the same house with that white neighbor and made sure everything was right. So then the neighbor gets involved. Okay, why you keep messing with this builder? Or probably they knew each other, and so the builder allegedly received or gave that neighbor a house and a master key and allowed them access. Now, the brother said, okay, well, she started calling the police on them. The body camera came, and he mentioned that she said these racist white people keep doing this, keep doing that. They're the KKK. And the brother said he didn't really want to get involved. And I get it. Once again, shout out to the brother. But one time that is, a lot of black people and white people are uncomfortable when talking about racism. And I guess my brother's one of them. Let's talk about it. Oh, okay, these people are doing it, because ignoring the elephant in the room does not make the room the elephant go away. Actually allows the elephant to keep pooping in the room and stuffing up the room and making everything uncomfortable. That's why they call them uncomfortable conversations. But he said he liked to change the subject. Nevertheless, he witnessed some of the things that she filed and claimed in those motions, that they killed the grass. Somebody poured things on his grass. And once again, he said he's seen it. He said the AC was tampered with and her Lexus kept getting damaged. He said he's seen these things with his own eyes. And so once again, that gives validity to the things that she was saying. And once again, I've had people call me, and we all know that people do have the technology to get in people's ADT system, to hack computers and all that. It happens all the time. Nevertheless, she started filing affidavits. These racist white people doing this, these racist white people doing that. And once again, our brother was like, that's a little bit too uncomfortable for me. Nevertheless, like I was saying earlier, she said, yeah, I need to find me a man. Because why? These white people most of the people who call me are women with these type of situations. These white punks don't do this when there's a strong man around. And so that's another,
That's so true. When you have especially I love a strong black man that know who he is, especially know who he is in Christ. There is just something so beautiful about that. And certain spirits do not come into that space when that man is around. And I can attest to that. That is so true. Because I had a man like that. I'm single now, but my last man that I had, he was Christian. Certain spirits did not come around when he was around. So that is so true what they saying. It is such a blessing for a woman, whether you're black or white or any nationality. If you have a strong man around you, especially a strong Christian man that know who he is, you have that covering. It is a whole different environment. That is so true what he said.
Aspect to this. She was a woman. She was by herself, and they knew that she didn't have a masculine presence to check that at the door, because they know, you know what I'm saying? Like, respect. If you got a gun, I got a gun. If you got a knife, I got a knife. If you want to throw hands, I got hands too. But
that's true. That's true. When you're in the natural, that's true. But like, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It's that spirit thing. Certain spirits recognize certain spirits, and they don't come around when you have the light around you. So that's true what he's saying in a natural sense, but in a spiritual sense is where the true battle is. That's the difference.
Being a woman, of course, it's easy to overpower them. And that's no disrespect, but that's why they call it the fair self. But once again, everybody wishes she went to a different route, right? Everybody wishes that, right? But what other route was she going to take? She tried everything, and it does. I don't think that it minimizes what happened to her mom. I think it amplifies. It brings it into the forefront, because if she didn't do that, then nobody would know. Nobody would take the time to dig into all of these things. And I myself, one, is guilty. Because, you know, once again, I didn't have an opportunity to speak with her, but somebody reached out to me. We just couldn't get on the same page. So, but, you know, once again, she kept making allegations that they are poisoning her mom. You know, they had lead in the house. This lady, once again, had money. She had money and she had resources. And that's one thing that they probably didn't like. Why is this black woman living here and causing us problems? You take what we give you. If we built the house and the cabinets are a little off and you got to use a step stool where you shouldn't have to, you got your house, didn't you? I've seen that attitude directed towards my own mom, but you know, that got handled pretty easily.
And fix my floor. You're gonna come and act and do what I ask you to do. No, don't you ever settle for less. Ever. Speak up for yourself. Especially if you pay for things, you have the right to request at first. Their service is, hey, my floor is uneven. Can you come check this out? You know, you don't have to go like blue, 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 you know, get all ghetto on them. No, just tell them what's up. You know, my floor, come check it out when you get a chance. You know, there's a way to talk to people and you can get things done. But I don't know what the kind of people that she was dealing with that the builder, it just seemed like they had it out from her from the beginning. It's just, oh my God. Mm-mm-mm.
You know what I mean? But you know, shout out to the brother, because once again, she said she reached out to the NAACP. No disrespect to whoever's involved, but the NAACP is trash right now. Because every issue that I've ever brought to them locally, or I've seen other people.
That one lady, I don't know her name, but I think she's part of the NAACP. The one that always, she always in the news. Well, I know she's on the internet, and she always wear that cowboy hat. She's a black lady. I really like her, but I don't know her name. I wonder if she would have reached out to her, things would have got done for sure. I wish I know her name, but she's a black. She's an activist, and she wears a cowboy hat a lot. I think every time I've seen her, she always had a cowboy hat on. But yeah. I think anytime we have trouble, find out her name and reach out to her, because she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. You know, she'll go to bat for you. She'll definitely fight for you. So I do believe that there probably are people in the NAACP that will assist you, but unfortunately, Miss Gwen did not get in contact with those type of people, you know, the right people, because there is people out there that would have, had they known the full extent of it, I believe would have offered some kind of assistance or direction or something, you know, would have gave her some type of support.
People in other states where I went to, they ain't do nothing. They're trash. And prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. If you know what I'm saying? Now, there may be some chapters that really are out there, but back in the day, the NAACP was at the forefront of these matters. That it wasn't co-opted and infiltrated by business ideology. So then the brother mentioned once again what happened to her mother. Those pictures are horrendous. Nobody can say that anything was fraudulent, you know, about that situation. But, you know, going back once again to the brothers, you know, once again, everybody probably has the lawyers at heart. They were considered, in my part, and I'll say it again, collateral damage. They were just doing their job. That's what he said. But their job is carrying out a system of injustice, immorality, evil, and wickedness, no matter what the law says. No matter how legal they're going to jargon and how legal they're going to sign off and take that mother and put her in a home and ban the mother. It's legal. Yeah, if the judge signs on it, there's nothing I can do. I'm a lawyer. We know it's wrong. And every lawyer in here knows there's some legal things that are dead wrong. And I don't subscribe to that. I've been in the justice system enough where I've seen them try to take my life and they knew I didn't do what they said I did, but because, we're just following the law. Dead wrong. What about universal law? What about righteousness and things like that? So once again, I don't condone what she did, but once again, when we're talking about law and these are lawyers, they were just trying to feed their family. Yeah, and robbers try to feed their family too. Just because you say it's illegal, don't make it so. And so, shout out to my brother for bringing those things to light. Once again, everybody's, trying to paint her like she is very educated. That lady had everything together, as you will see from the documents and the documentation that she very meticulously kept records of, which they tried to scrub her internet page down, her Facebook page down. And once again, you ask yourself why. Yep. Shout out to my brother Trey Willis, man. You know I'm gonna keep it real, keep it funky. I'm gonna keep it true, and I'm gonna keep it righteous. But I definitely thank you for coming out with that, because that verifies, that corroborates a lot of the information that I get from other sources. So argue with your mama in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782.
Okay, so yeah, what he said. Okay, so yeah, shout out to like I said, shout out to that young man who did make the video. It does add a sense of who that person was, and I can better relate to her or her plight, because that's a human being. Instead of just hearing it, it's different when you know just a little bit about a person. If someone come out and say, "Oh, she was a very nice person," which that is what he said, and when he was talking about her, he had some nice feelings towards her. So yeah, that did add a little bit of depth to it. So, but what we can do now is just give her as much support as we can now, even though it's after the fact. It's better than having no support. At least she will help her during these days and the trials that is coming up. And one thing that I do want to add, what the young man said in the video, I do agree with him that they may push down the importance and what happened to her mother, and bring up to the forefront more per se what she did, the attempted murder that she did, in her mental capacity that she have now. So they may just paint a narrative, and they just gonna run with it, and they gonna pump that up so strong, and that's gonna be at the forefront. And then the abuse and the neglect that happened to her mother, and the abuse and the what's the word I'm looking for? Well, the plight that she had with her neighbors, and the disappearing body cam, all that is going to be pushed backwards, because they don't want that to come out. So it'll be good if all of it can come out at this, at the same time at once. And one situation is not not as important as it is, more important than the other. So I think for a good defense would be to bring up the situations that she was going through, in her plight that she was going through, and everything that she documented on Facebook and kept records of, and then the situation with her mom, and then to bring up her, like, all the stress that she's under. You know, some people just snap. I don't believe it's mental illness because, like I said in my last video, the woman did seem to be a very intelligent young lady, and she was very beautiful, and she's like boozy. I mean, you know, we can all be boozy sometimes, and sometimes I like to be boozy as well. But yeah, this is it's a bad, it's not a good situation the way that it's looking now, and what they trying to paint the narrative of her. So we just have to keep Miss Gwen in prayer, and I do pray that she get better representation. She need a lawyer who's going to fight for her, not one that's just going to sugarcoat over the situation and then push the narrative of mental illness. She need a fighter. You understand what I'm saying? Who's going to go back and bring up everything that she went through that led that from day one all the way up to the day where she felt she had no other choice but to take the law and do what she did. So yeah, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the video, and I would definitely try to keep up with the posting of his videos. And I haven't really looked because I don't want to like just crowd myself with so many different videos of the same subject. So here's the first. He is the first video. This Taylor House Publishing, I believe that's his name. Taylor House Publishing. He's the first one that I came across, and so he's the one that I'm going to stick with. Okay, so now like I said, I will put the link to his video in my description, and if you want to keep up and want to go over there and subscribe to his channel, then you can go ahead and do that. But first and foremost, subscribe to my channel because I need you as well. And shout out to my new subscribers. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. And I am getting in the swing of things, updating my stuff. I got my new mic. I got so many mics and them sound crappy. The last mic I had was a Rode pod mic, and that was the worst mic I had in my life. So this is my newest one, and I'm playing with my backgrounds and everything. But yeah, so and I like to change things up, so you might come up here and see different backgrounds and everything. That's just who I am. I get bored if everything stays the same all the time. So I like to switch up here and there. But yeah, so I will see you in my next video, and y'all be blessed. Thanks for watching, okay? I'll see y'all later. Be blessed, y'all. I'm out.